here. We're gonna deliver, and I'm gonna chop this video up and continue to put it out there because I know we're gonna generate some great content.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
what
yeah.
up, D?
See some people
Oh, is
already
that D?
jumping on. That's right.
Right? Is DV on your side of the world?
I don't know where DV's at, actually. I mean, we're
Man, you
connected on
gotta get to know
Facebook.
your demographics,
No,
brother.
I
Come
do.
on, bro.
We actually,
Come
we
on.
were talking the other day. I'm in one of her coaching groups.
Yeah.
She's doing the 40-day thing, and
Okay.
I forgot what part of the world she's in.
Oh man,
New
where you
York.
at,
Oh,
DV?
she's
Tell
on
me.
your, okay, New York.
Oh, she in
Yeah,
New York. All right, New
yeah,
York, New York. All right.
yeah.
You really rocking with us tonight because I know it's cold as hell
Yeah,
around 1 o'clock in the
yeah, yeah,
morning.
yeah, yeah. Shauna Grace is on. She's on the East Coast also.
Shauna. I
Yeah.
met Shauna at Tony Robbins event, UPW, years
Oh,
ago.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. So it's funny that y'all know each other.
Mm-hmm.
That tells
Yeah.
me you into some freaky stuff. That's what that tells me, bro. All right, man. We're gonna have a
No
blast,
comment.
bro. All right, we're gonna have a blast, bro.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to make this video is because let me just kind of explain to everybody how we
Yeah.
kind of cross paths. So Rachel is a person that I don't know how the hell I became Facebook friends with Rachel, but I'm fortunate of it because she always posts some awesome content. She's a coach, a transformation coach. She posts really dope content, and within that content, she's always challenging the norms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all about challenging the norms, especially if your basis is it comes from intellect and comes from intellectualism and comes from science, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the basis is practicality, but the implementation may be something that's not of norm, which I'm
Yeah.
all for because
Yeah.
a lot of the time, us in the mental health space, a lot of us can be very boring, very cookie cutter
Yeah.
when it comes to trying to reach people. So, we kind of take away so it's always fascinating to come across people who have zeal when it comes to different approaches of mental health.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and
Yeah.
and then we're gonna get cracked straight into these questions.
Yeah. Thank you. And
If
and
y'all
I
got
got
questions, post your questions below.
yeah, and I got corrected. Shauna Grace is in Chicago, not the East Coast. So I messed that one up too.
Oh, it's all good. Man, listen, Shauna's always moving around. First off, she was in Arizona when I met her. She was in
Okay.
Atlanta. Now
Yeah.
she's in Chicago. It's all good.
I'm like, all right, what's the time difference? Cool. All right. So yeah, thank you. My name's Matthew Solomon. I'm the coach for the modern soul. I'm an empowerment coach. I specialize in relationships and communication. And I grew up in Los Angeles in the, like, when people talk about the melting pot, that's what I grew up in. The schools I went to were very mixed races, religions, sexual orientations. I grew up in West Hollywood. I was in the music business. I've been a filmmaker the last 7 years, and I'm a coach. And I've sort of been coaching in one way or another most of my adult life. I taught martial arts and self-defense, and then got into like actual coaching, and I led programs, introductions for Landmark Worldwide, and worked with teens and young people and adults and all of that. And in the last year or so, as the Me Too movement came about online, and of course,
Right.
Me Too began in 2006 by Tarana Burke, so it's important to acknowledge her. But when the online thing happened, after Harvey Weinstein, I wrote a book called Man's School: Relating with Women in the Me Too Era, which was basically, I knew about women's experiences in the world for the most part, here in the United States, specifically. And I saw a lot of men who had no idea and who got resistant and who would argue back and victim blame and all of that stuff. And so with the book, I really wanted to just lay out, like, this is what's going on, and this is what we can do about it if you want to. Like some of the blowback from guys who didn't read it were like, oh, you're trying to tell me how to live. I was like, no, but this is the stuff that works if you want to do it, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's
Well,
that.
hold on, man.
Yeah.
Let me pause you there. All right.
Yeah.
Doing a great job so far.
Thank you.
So let me pause you there. I just want to tell the audience that I came across, first off, most people who I've come across in the sector of mansplaining or speaking on the behalf of men when it comes to manhood, usually it's women. All right. From what I've come from who I've come across in the space. Usually it's women. Usually it's white women, right? Usually it's white women who aren't at all resemblance of they're not even like the I'm a UFC fighter type of white woman. They're like the, hey, I was in the Beta Club and I'm a Democrat, leftist type of white woman, which is cool. I live in New York City type of white woman, which is cool. But it would, when you're speaking from that funnel of life, men ought to already take a defensive. And then you also have a sector of men who try to play towards the woman's interests and act like they're interested in the subject or they're an ally. Right. All just to gain the interest of a woman. So when I came across Matt's work, at first I was like, oh, here we go with this shit again. Right? Because I was like, okay, Matt's this feeble guy. He looks very unassuming, right? Very unassuming, but he got the rugged look. I'm jealous of the beard, by the way. All right, but he looks very unassuming. But then Mike, what up, Courtney? What up, Steve? What up, Mark? Nick, Roy, what's happening? So I was like, all right, Mark started saying some shit. I was like, oh, he actually gets it. Like, he didn't attack the men when it came to explaining how women can feel objectified in society, how women are targeted in society. He actually allowed the men to be curious. Yeah. Which, and a lot of these conversations in spaces, it's always marketed and it's always, the propaganda is always generating the victim side, and it's the woman's victim side often. And so to hear a man talk to a group of other men, because that's another thing that's always missing in the mental health space, is men talking to men. The only man that's usually talking to men in this space is Tony Robbins. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So when I came across Matt, he was dropping gems. I was like, oh shit, this dude knows what he's talking about. I was like, okay, I gotta follow this guy. And so ever since then, I've been following Matt, and I've been following his post and thread. And I just came up with the idea. I said, I talk to black men. He talks to men in general, but of course he's a white guy, so a lot of white guys gravitate towards him. And I was just like, man, as many conversations as we have in our communities, I know that our messages and misconceptions that we have about each other, we could really enlighten our communities and just go from there and see how it grows from there. Especially two men talking who kind of who again, our basis is practicality and intellectualism and science, but the way that we approach and deliver it is definitely outside the normal means when it comes to mental health. So Matt, I want you to kind of I'm gonna have you talk about your book, but I want to dive into these questions.
Yeah, go for it. No, totally.
Okay, good.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
and thank you for
here's
that.
what I'm asking you. First question. All right. Yeah. What up, Margarita? This is so awesome that you guys are doing. Thanks, Margarita. That's what we're here for, baby, to bridge the gap. Thank you. So, and I don't mean baby in the end there.
You got to read my book. Got to send you my book.
I know. Listen, I got a story on there, but I'm gonna save it. All right. So the broad question: how would you define masculinity?
Well, how would I define it. It's the qualities that equal what a man is. Now, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, and if I know that you were asking about, like, as a white man, like, how is that defined, for us? And I can't speak for all white men, but growing up as a white man, it's like what we seem to value are money and aggression and physical strength, and like those were the benchmarks that I had growing up as a boy in like what would make me a man. And that's the money and the success, and then there's the hyper-aggression and all of that, which I don't do at all, the hyper-aggression,
right. Right.
but and I remember my uncle who passed away, he was like a big Navy guy, and like he had these like forearm muscles that he was always flexing.
Look like Popeye.
Yeah. And so to me, like, he was like, okay, he's a manly man, and if he went out and somebody messed with him, he'd get in a fight, because that's what he always talked about. And his sons, were always talking about
Thor.
The fights that they would get into. And so, like, growing up, it was like, okay, you got to get in fights and win them and make a lot of money and get all the girls. And so that's,
wow.
So I mean, that's basically it. And then, and I wasn't like that type, but I was in the music business, which was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it's like, okay, so if we, so we make money and have women, then
stories you have. Right.
Yeah. So that's, that's my perspective on it growing up. Beautiful. Where I did. Okay.
I'm with you on that. My perspective is a man's approach to how he identifies himself in the world. Mm-hmm. That's what I define masculinity as. I kind of leave it interpretation, because I try not to impose my expectations upon anybody, let alone especially men who I feel are often burdened with societal expectations. Great answers.
And I wanted I wanted to say one thing though, as far as the work that I do, and because I coach couples and I coach individuals and all of that, I don't really get into the masculine and feminine terms anymore, because it is so polarizing. And there is, like, all of that stuff I explained was stuff that I felt like shit about growing up, because I wasn't those things. And so, I'm in a place now where I'm really happy with my masculinity, and I get acknowledged for it. And, some have called it a quiet masculinity. Like, you were even like, yeah, you seem kind of like feeble, or, whatever you said. But it's like, okay, but here I am, and this is what I'm doing. And so, and what I really focus on is, how do I want to show up in the world, and what do I want to create, and what do I want people's experiences to be interacting with me, and how can I empower and people feel empowered? So that's like my personal definition of masculinity now, is that, the context of how I got here was what I grew up in. Right.
So I'm glad you said that, because I get tired of having these masculinity conversations as well. I'm super tired of them. Mm-hmm. I try not to have them in my men's group. Excuse me. We just started, so we entertain it, but going forward, I don't want to continue to keep coming around this bush, because it's nothing but an expectation, and you're never going to fulfill anybody's expectations ever. I don't care if it's mom, dad. It's always either going to be too big for you, too small for you. I say always, like, expectations is like it's like a suit. And the more external expectations you're trying to reach and meet, the more custom that suit is for another person, but you're wearing it. Mm-hmm. And the more self-generated expectations you try to pursue are the better fitting that suit is on you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm on board with you with the masculinity. Real quick thing. I want to bring up this too. I remember growing up, and here's something funny. Mm-hmm. Now I grew up around. Now we had similar uncles. It seems to be just on different sides of the railroad, right? Mm-hmm. So while yours was in the military, mine was in the streets, right? Okay. And then he did prison time, etc., etc. So one of my uncles though was actually a transgender, right?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then what I learned growing up, watching him, respectively, we always refer to Uncle Joseph as her. Mm-hmm. But watching him, he was the only man I watched growing up until he passed in '97 from HIV. Mm-hmm. The only man I ever saw never put his hands on my mom. Wow. And always look out for my mom and never take from my mom. Wow. So every other man that I knew growing up had always taken advantage of women, abused women, manipulated women, but he was the only man I ever met up until that point he passed that never took advantage of women and only contributed to my mother's life. And that experience alone really revamped my thinking around, even when it came to trans folks, gay men, etc. So a lot of the alternative lifestyle, as they call it, or gays, LGBTQI, what the acronyms are now, but I have a certain level of respect for it and appreciation and acceptance of it because of how I was introduced and exposed to the culture.
Yeah.
So, and it's different, way different from the typical traditional male.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to throw that in. And that's what I also learned, that there's different types of being a man in society. It's not based on if you're macho. It's not based on if you're rich. It's not based.
Right.
It's based on, like you said earlier, how you decide to show up. Are you showing up with your truth? And on top of that, are you providing value to others?
Yeah.
Right? Are you being contributive? So, but you had great points on that. So the second question is, what are common beliefs? This is for you. What are common beliefs that white men have about black men's masculinity that you've gathered from friends, that you gathered from clients? Again, I know you coach everybody, black, white, Asian, Russian, etc. But you're a white man and you're deep in this field and you're doing a lot of great groundbreaking work, and we need to hear these sides.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, because I can, for myself personally, I deal with individuals, so like I get what the general white viewpoint
Don't
is.
you hit me with that. You don't see race as a color.
No, I don't. No. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying, like, what's my view of black masculinity?
Not yours. All right, because we get it. We hear. We get it.
So that's what I was asking. So
outside of you.
Outside,
the rest of these questions are outside of me and you.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. That's what I want to make. So the white male view of black masculinity is hyper masculine. Like I've seen how white men characterize black men as you all are bigger, stronger, louder, better at everything, whether it's sports or sex or anything that's physical. And it, I mean, you see it in how we appropriate the culture, and like, rap music and like gangsterizing ourselves so that we can be more like there was this one coach, I don't even know who it was, white guy, who was like, I'm so masculine in his post that I'm using the black fist emoji. I was like, hang on a second, that's fucked up.
Right.
And he couldn't see it. And there was a black woman who commented, and then he took shots at her, and I was like, all right, you just went like racist and sexist all within like a post and a comment. And and he
killed three birds with one stone.
Yeah, totally. And couldn't hear any different. And he had, he was on his page, so of course he had all these other white dudes who were like, no, he's just being, he's just stating the obvious, being masculine. That's what we do. And you all, so that's what generally the white male culture sees as the black male masculinity.
Okay. Totally get that. So let me respond to that. And I want you to know our responses to our questions and answers are not at each other personally. Right?
Yeah.
So this is free form. We're going for it. We're going. This is going to be shared a lot. I know this is going to be a very popular video. So we're going to go for the gusto, because many black men and white men are going to learn from this. All right. We're having a very daring conversation. So a lot of that is, there's a lot of truth to that. And let me tell you why, because a lot of black men are reared to have a very alpha, very hard, very balls to the wall. Yeah. Trying to think of another word, but a very aggressive. approach towards life in general. It's always that you're reared as a black man with the 10x rule, that you're good enough isn't nearly good enough. When being early is on time, being on time means you're late. That's the measurement that you have as being black, and it of course is due to how our journey in this country. And so we knowing that we have a start that's not on, we don't have the leverage that's equal to other races in this country from birth. It means that we have to work that harder. The problem with that is that we emotionally and mentally push each other beyond healthy limits to be able to just be a human being. So it's like so like this salmon shirt would be considered, oh, that's a sissy shirt, or that's a punk shirt. You know, I'm supposed to be muscled out. I'm supposed to have the whole beard. I'm supposed to be alpha, out hitting them hard. You know, and you hear it in our music, our rap music. Our rappers are actually a great resemblance of what trauma, of the education of trauma in the black community. Because everything that they rap about, that they make music around, are all the things that they're trying to evade, but it looks like on the surface level that they're celebrating. So you know so when it comes to the chains, the jewelry, the flashy, all that is, you know, the cars, the money, the money phones, all that is saying, hey, I need love, I need an affirmation, I need to be valued. That's what all these things are saying, but they don't know how to vocalize it. Right. So a lot of those perceptions that white men have of black masculinity they're very, a lot of them are very valid. So it's not to say also that all black men are like that, of course, because we're all different shades, all different personalities, all different backgrounds, right? So I don't want to put that out there as well, but I have to say it makes sense. When I turn on TV, there's white people that I've met when when I was financially fucked up 2 years ago and I was doing Uber. You know, it was probably one of the most educational jobs I ever took on, because I got to meet people from literally all around the world. But mainly what you would see is that damn, I forgot the point that I was going there. But anyway, I just want a lot of it is validated. I just want white men to understand that, you know, it's a lot of us can, black men are, you know, working hard to try to break down those boundaries. We are working hard to try to break down. That's why my point. There's white men today who they didn't meet their first black person until they were adult, till they were in college, till they were employees. So if all you see on TV in entertainment is a black man that's prototypical, alpha, aggressive, King Kong, Godzilla, and you don't have the personal experience to contrast that, that's what you're led to believe. All you need is 1 or 2 interactions to affirm that. So very valid.
And I just wanted to point, there was something you said that it's like the view that we're talking about, right? The hyper masculine, like amped up, pumped up, aggressive, doesn't leave you with the space to be human, doesn't allow for you to feel and have emotions and be sensitive and show up as anything other than that. And so it's so detrimental and it's so limiting. And Gina Retzlaff said, and it's funny, she said 9 out of 10 rap artists don't live like they portray. And so the other thing I was going to say was Gina, that portrayal is all by design. You know, there's a, you know, people behind the image and the media, and there's the rap that goes commercial. There are people in power who make that the commercial thing, and there's so much like underground hip hop, like the East Coast hip hop that started it all. Like it was not that, but that's what we were, you know, culturally shown. And you know, I get like, you know, I'm from LA, and NWA was, you know, out of LA and all of that, and you know, Raiders hats and the key. Like I grew up, you know, with all of that, and it was a direct portrayal of what was happening at that time. And,
Mhm.
you know, when we would watch like MTV Cribs, you know, and we go to, you know, I don't know, some rapper's house, and it was like the fish tank was was a TV, and, you know, the gold toilets and
Yeah.
the stripper poles in the bedrooms. That they didn't own that stuff.
Yeah.
That was all set up. That was all like, no, this is the image. It wasn't real. But
Yeah.
but it just like further implanted that
It sells. It
image.
sells,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I wanna express uh, some of the common beliefs black men have about white men's masculinity
Great.
is that you all are physically uh, inferior
Mm-hmm.
to other races, especially when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
Um, that you all are sneaky and conniving, and
Mm-hmm.
you're always practicing. What's that term for when you're giving? You're always practicing when you're always looking out for a family member or looking out for a friend or
Oh,
I can't think of the term right now. Not
yeah, yeah.
use it. I used it today like twice.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, always like looking out for the next white man and over everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's always in a lot of black conversations, especially with a lot of pro blacks. It's always they look out for their own. They do
Mm-hmm.
this and that for their own.
Yeah.
You know, nepotism. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
term.
yeah. Right.
Right. So it's like white people. Part of that masculinity is that they always practice nepotism,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the flip side of that, it's yeah, he might look unassuming. They might come off to be, oh no, man, I don't want any problems. Y'all, you're cool, man. It's all right. But it's also that you all are shrewd business owners. You all are shrewd
Mm-hmm.
constructors of societies, and so it's always as much as the average black man will look down physically on the white man,
Mm-hmm.
mentally still programmed to be inferior to feel inferior to the white man, especially when it comes to realms of life that don't deal with physicality. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes
Yeah.
to positions of power,
Yeah.
when it comes to academics, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to access to opportunities,
Yeah.
it's always he gonna have one step ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost that envious factor. Yeah, I may be physically stronger and imposing, but you still have to win over me because I still got to feed my family, and
Yeah.
you have that leverage over me.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the average perceptions that black men have of
Yeah.
white male masculinity.
And I'll
What are your
take it
thoughts on that?
I'll take it a step further. I'm Jewish, you know, so there's
Oh, oh, oh yeah.
so
When I tell you, y'all are the target, baby, the target of a lot of pro-black conversations. They love comparing everything to the Jews.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Oh
I mean
man, there's a
that's my
brother.
only that's my only comment. But yeah, and it goes back to like the white view of masculinity, which is success and wealth and money. If we can't do the alpha aggressive stuff, we're at least the bankers and the lawyers and the, you know, the Rothschilds and like all of that, you know, and the Rothschild. I mean, you know, talk about being Jewish. That's, I mean, you know, here we go. And then which
That's like the ultimate level of being
yeah,
Jewish.
which is really interesting because yeah, of course I've been, you know, the target of that and been on the receiving end of, oh, you're Jewish, so, you know, all you guys got money, and, you know, but the, you know, it's like, how do I say that? My sister, there was somebody who said something to my sister about well, what do you call it? Not the what do you, not the I forget the term. But anyway, like she was saying, oh, you know, it's all the like it's all Jewish controlled, like the whole world.
Right.
I forget the
Illuminati?
no, it's more like Judeo-centric. I'm trying to
Oh,
remember. Not Israelites, but it's like something like
yeah.
that.
Definitely not Israelites.
Yeah,
Israelites.
no, yeah, no, yeah, but it's shoot, I almost got it. Well, anyway, but you know, so there, but the, you know, the Rothschilds were like this
Mhm.
elite family, and they split off and they opened up these banks and all of that. But you know, you trickle down to, the Zionist. Thank you, Dee. Yes, Zionist.
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 Dv, thank you, girl. You just helping us with all type of terms tonight. You the term
Yeah.
person. Go ahead.
So this woman said to my sister, "Oh, you're just a Zionist, and I don't trust you." And my sister was like, "What's a Zionist?" So I break it down for her. But it's like, my family came from a small, town in Poland during the Holocaust, and so like we're not the Rothschilds. And yeah, we were still able to. My grandfather was a carpenter, and he had like this business, and he made cabinets for a big part of like the Los Angeles area and everything, but we were still in the like middle class, realm. But I forgot how I got on that. But basically, yeah, I get like you were talking about the black view of white masculinity and how,
Right.
and even like when we came on, you were like, yeah, I saw Matthew and he was like kind of feeble and unassuming, and
Right.
So there you go.
like Little Dicky. The rapper Little Dicky.
Yeah.
Great rapper though. Great rapper.
Yeah. But I know we're also seen as we take and we give to our own, and it's all I need a leg up and I don't care who I step over. Like that's a context that we live in. We got to get ours.
Yeah.
And I know from my black friends and what you were saying, there's like, even if I show up and I'm saying all the right things and doing all the right things and we're friends for like 10 years, there's still that, what if something goes down? What if
absolutely
something happens?
I'm surprised you got that. Okay, yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Because he's going to sell me out in a second. If the cops show up or if something goes down or something, and so I'm aware of that, and that's it's like I acknowledgments that I get, I accept them and I'm grateful, and I also realize that I can't sit around on those either, because
right,
because yeah,
I got you. Great response. All right, so. And we're definitely gonna have to come back and do a part 2 to this, because I know it's gonna be hot. All right, so the next one is, what are white, and you're answering this one, what are white men's common struggles within society, being a man?
Wow. Okay, so it's how do we?
Very true, Margarita. Very true.
What did she say? So much betrayal and hurt in the past. Yeah, hard to build a foundation of trust. Yep. So what was it? White men's.
What are white men's common struggles within society?
Well, we're going through how do we fit in? Where do we fit in right now? And so, there's like what it means to be masculine. The majority of us are struggling in some way financially. So the success thing we're not measuring up to. The alpha thing we're not measuring up to. Obviously, you see us as weaker, right? The guys that are hyper masculine are, for the most part, are assholes that you don't want to be around. But it's like, so this is really interesting, and I don't know what the black experience. Well, no, I know a little bit about. So the black experience of feminism, or the white experience of feminism, because we went from the businessman who worked all day, comes home to his wife, who's a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom. And then, things flipped and women went into the workplace, and men sort of, they wanted us to be more sensitive, like the 70s and 80s were all about, I want a sensitive man. But then we got so sensitive and women got, more in their masculine. And then we're like in this place where, how do we be and who do we be? And the woman wears the pants. Like, these are all ideas. The women wears the pants in the family, and the men are wimps and pussies and all of that. And we're in this place where it's like, we don't even know what to do or how to do it. And then you have the Me Too movement comes around. And so you see, it's like these big name people in the industry, getting taken down. But then there's all these guys like who work in restaurants and work here and work there, who have been taught to, you're supposed to catcall women and you're supposed to grab them, and they want, and I would say, like, sort of believe that we're supposed to approach women the way black men do. I'm like, hey baby, what's up? You know, like that kind of stuff. You know, so we're all fucked up right now. I mean, really.
Shoot your shot, bro. Shoot your shot.
But it's really, and then, you know, you look at like that Gillette commercial that came out. It was like everybody, you know, it's like dudes are flipping out, and but other dudes get it, and so it's a very threatening place, because we're not looking at, I feel fucked up. Why do I feel fucked up? I feel like I'm not man enough. Why do I feel like I'm not man enough? I want to be successful and I feel like a failure. What's going on there? Because we're not even like